Welcome back, Warriors of Purgatory, to Digital Devil Saga. Last time, we defeated our first boss, Hayagriva, conquered the Vanguards, and found out the Karma Temple had summoned us, and we've now learned that we need to eat everything else and ascend to Nirvana for no apparent reason. Clearly there is some greater conspiracy going on, but right now that's not really a huge deal to us. Firstly, the Dissemination Machine has some new info available about demons. A demon is a person's Atma, or true character. Everything born of God holds the informational possibility of demons. The virus is merely... What? Okay. Well, that's weird. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to us now, but, okay. Karma is the sum of your deeds in this life. The more demons hunted and devoured, the more... I don't think that's how karma works. Karma is the source of strength. Basically, karma is experience points. Demons must consume magnetite in order to survive. This is really interesting because magnetite was a mechanic, both gameplay and plot, in earlier Shin Megami Tensei. It's kind of been dropped from the series, starting with Nocturne. You used to need to spend magnetite when, like, walking in order to keep demons summoned. They changed that because it was a pain to manage, but it's still implied to be a thing that exists. It seems like demons are made up of magnetite. All things contain traces of this information construct, but humans and demons require great energy. The only way to preserve the information of one's existence is to devour one's enemies. A lot of talk about information here. Demons are influenced by information noise. Hunting is also affected by fluctuations of solar noise. And that's it. That was spectacularly unhelpful. Devour others to gain karma and become the strongest being, Child of Purgatory, one who devours. Yeah. The thing about solar noise and hunting, though, that will become a little more relevant fairly soon, actually. It affects a certain mechanic that we'll get into, but mainly I want to get to a Karma Temple because, well, we are at the Karma Temple. I want to get to a Karma Terminal, because at the Karma Terminal, I'll be able to download new mantra. You guys say anything new now? Blah, 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 we will destroy you, blah. Blah, 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 we will destroy you even more, blah! But okay, here's a terminal. Hi, a member of the Embryon came with us. What a bro, generic Embryon member. This guy will give us some more info if we talk to him again. Instead of killing foes and splitting them with your allies, I suggest using hunt skills to devour your enemy alive. You will not only have a meal all to yourself, but you'll also gain more AP. The all to yourself part's important though. As I said, nobody else gets the AP from that specific enemy. So, this is the main reason why I said Maka is important. The skills that can be learned are determined by upgrades known as mantras. Atma points earned in battle are used to master mantras and gain skills. By mastering mantras, additional mantras will become available for download. Select Get Mantra at the Karma Temple to download a mantra for each party member. So now we finally have access to this, and also a really great song. Like, as far as, like, songs to customize party members to, this is a pretty good one. So, Heat has mastered Fire Spirit and Surf has mastered Devourer, while Argilla was on Earth Spirit, but she didn't make any progress because she wasn't eating anything. So, let's head to the mantra grid. We can press the square button to zoom out and see the entire grid here. Basically, as we master mantras, the next mantra in the line will unlock. So for example, after mastering Devourer, this one became available. If we master this, we'll get this one, followed by this one, and eventually we'll get here. These end-of-line mantras contain some insanely strong skills. However, the further a mantra is along in the grid, the more AP it takes to master. Conversely, these lower level ones are pretty quick to master and can quite easily be mastered if gone for in the late game. A character can only equip one mantra at a time, so for example, if I wanted to give Surf a new one, his current one has been mastered, so I have a few choices here. I could go for Shura for more physical attack skills. This one contains Venom Claw and Mad Rush, or if I want to go even more physical, I can go for Feed Frenzy, Venom Fang, and Ingest Mana. Or, Surf has already got Ice Spirit, so I could go for more Ice with Ice Demon, Mabufu, and Ice Boost. Or I could mix things up and go for Fire. So this is the same one that Heat had, so this will give Argy and Void Fire. We have equivalents for every element, so Bolt Spirit is for electricity. Dragon, for some reason the wind ones have different names, is for force. Actually, not wind, it's force in this game, but it's essentially the same thing as wind in Persona. And we also have Earth Spirit for earth. Meanwhile, we can also choose to specialize in healing with protection. And that's all we have access to right now. So, how am I going to go about this? Well, firstly, I'll cover just the bare basics of mantras. I can spend 1000 marker to buy the protection mantra for Surf. Every mantra has to be bought separately for each character, so for example, if I wanted to give heat protection, I would need to buy that individually for him. This is why having a lot of marker is important, it needs to cover your entire party. But now, I could, if I wanted to, buy a different mantra and start equipping that. You can only have one mantra equipped at a time, and you can only change your equipped mantra at a Karma terminal, large or small. So, you can't just swap them out on the fly. Once you've mastered a mantra though, you have access to its skills forever. But right now, we don't really have much of an indicator of what these later mantras are, and therefore, it's going to be a little hard to sort of plan things in advance. To go over some generally vague plans for my party members, I do want Surf to work on getting Dia as soon as possible for 2 reasons. It'll make him a very good healing battery. He'll essentially be a walking heal terminal with how much MP he has. But also having 2 party members with Dia will allow you to use Medea as a combo skill much earlier than you would normally have access to it via mantras, and that helps in the early game. Meanwhile, Heat is pretty much going to focus on physical. He has already mastered the Shura mantra, which gives him access to either Rakshas or Battle Demon. Rakshas has Poison Dart, an attack with a chance of poison. Raving Slash, I believe that's another ailment skill, I'll put it up on screen. Life bonus increases max HP, and Critical, which makes it so you have a higher crit rate. Actually very good for a physical attacker. Or this one, Battle Demon. This gives access to Devil Feast, Death Spray, which is a multi-hit attack, Vile Blade, which hits all enemies, and Taunt. So Taunt might be the best skill in the game, at least for the first playthrough. Taunt applies 2 stacks of defense debuffs and 2 stacks of attack buffs to the entire enemy party. Against bosses who mostly use magic, the attack buff is not really relevant, and there are ways you can play around that anyway, like increasing your evasion to dodge their attacks, or using Dekaja to cancel the buff half of it. 2 stacks of defense debuffs on bosses is incredible, and for that reason, I would highly recommend going for this one as soon as possible. Heat is your earliest access to this mantra, and it is well worth the money. Devil Feast is also a very good utility skill. It's an instant death hunt attack. It has a very low chance of working, which might make it seem bad until you realize that it is guaranteed against enemies that are afraid, and it has a very high chance of working against enemies inflicted with immobilizing ailments like sleep or stun. Meanwhile, Argilla's already mastered healing from the start, so she now has access to better healing. Aegdi is actually a fairly alright skill to have, as it cures the stomach ache ailment, which is relevant to devouring. Or we can go into here and start getting some ailment skills. These are going to be useful not in the next dungeon, but the dungeon after, because ailments are considered a valid weakness for some enemies in this game. Also, Dream Haze works very well with Devil Feast, as sleeping enemies have a very high chance of being instantly devoured by Devil Feast. This is something that I wish I knew the first time I played this game. But of course, we want to wait until she's mastered her Earth Spirit in order to go into anything else. And after that, I might want to start getting her into Dragon for Force skills. Why Force skills? Well, at the very end of each elemental line, you'll get a mantra that gives you the Resist passive for that element. Because of this, if you want a character to nullify their elemental weakness and avoid giving the enemy press turns, you'll want to have them work on mastering the opposite element of their own. For example, have Heat master Ice, Surf master Fire, and Argilla master Force. So I think for the time being, I'm going to buy this in advance to make a start on this one. It'll also be useful to have access to more elements going forward. So she's activated this, but I want to go back to activating Earth Spirit until she masters it. So I've bought new mantras for every character. But like I said, you might want to plan out your mantra grid routes in advance, and for that it helps to know the whole thing. And so, it's time for an endgame file that has mastered the entire grid. You might also notice that it's expanded a bit. Some mantras are unlocked for beating optional bosses, while others are unlocked by mastering certain combinations of other mantras, like these two down here at the very bottom, but I'll cover those later. I wanted to show off this file just to give you a bit of an idea of where these paths end. So let's start with physical. So when we start off with Devourer for hunt/physical skills, we eventually get into AP Divide and Iron Stomach. Iron Stomach makes you immune to stomach ache, which is actually very useful when grinding AP, as is AP Divide. Whenever you eat an enemy, you have a random chance of getting a stomach ache, and while you have a stomach ache, you do not gain AP for that battle or any other future battle until you cure the stomach ache. This gives Artma bonus, basically makes it so you get even more AP, very good for grinding, whereas the line below it, Comatose has a chance of sleep. Null Critical doesn't actually do what it says. It makes it so you're less likely to get hit by criticals. Very useful though against super bosses. Min Critical is similar to, it's essentially a nerfed version of Bright Might and Dark Might from Nocturne. Those guaranteed critical hits at certain phases. Min Critical only makes criticals more likely at minimum solar noise. Close Call also makes it so that you will survive a fatal blow with 1 HP, but be reverted back to human form, and you'll have to transform back. A useful skill in a pinch. This also leads to Max Critical, the opposite of Min Critical, Fizz Resist to resist physical, life gain for even more HP, and Wikipedia! This was evidently a joke by one of the localizers. Some people think this is a mistranslation, but it's not. Don't really know why it has these skills called Last Meal, Bloodbath, and Devour Mana, though. I guess somebody really hated Wikipedia. Last Meal, I believe, is the AoE version of Devil Feast. And then at the very end of this, you get Destroyer. Ragnarok, Null Fizz, and Life Surge. Ragnarok is the ultimate physical skill in the game. It's a physical almighty attack that hits all enemies and debuffs their defense by 1 stage. However, going through the Devil Feast side of the mantra grid will eventually get you things like, these are all just very strong physical skills with a chance of ailments. Counter-Strike, Fizz Repel is this game's equivalent of Tetrakarn. Attack All makes sure normal attacks hit all enemies. Can be useful, but sometimes the enemies might be immune and that will ruin your press turns. This will get you Gate of Hell, which has a chance of inflicting stone, Fizz Drain, which is one of the higher tiers of shields. Actually, kind of think of it, where is Power Charge? Oh, it's there, okay, I got it first try. Power Charge is in the bottom track of, Shura to Battle Demon. So it actually, yeah, so it's the one... So yeah, once you get Devil Feast and Taunt, if you head down the bottom track here, you'll eventually get Power Charge. Also, you get the Void Shield for physical a little later than for magic. Meanwhile, the elements progress pretty much how you'd expect them to. They go up from Argi to Maragi and Boost to Argi Lao. Flame Breath, every element has an equivalent of this. It's a multi-hit attack that hits random enemies. And meanwhile, the shield upgrades from Void to Repel. Now the shield upgrades to Drain, and we have the higher level AoE. Now we get Dine and Amp. And Mardine, and here it is, Fire Resist. So this is where you're going for if you want to take Surf through fire. And by mastering any one of the elements all the way to the end, I believe, you get access to Dark Leader, which gives Mind Charge, multiplies your next magic attack by 2.5 times, Magic Repel, which is effectively Makara-Khan, Last Word, which is heavy almighty damage to a single enemy, as well as Megadola, and then you get over to Dark Lord, Megadola on, and Null Element makes you immune to everything except physical. If you try this against the super boss, it will instantly kill you, so don't do it. Meanwhile, healing actually branches out into a few things. You'll keep getting better and better healing until eventually you reach Dear Rahan. And once you go through these ailment skills, notice that you can null ailments a lot earlier than you can null elements. That's going to be relevant much later on. Let's just say if we had a party member weak to ailments, you might want to take them through this track of the mantra grid that branches out from healing. Meanwhile, down here we have Expel and Death on the grid. So, Death starts out with just your basic instant death Mudor skills, along with the Void Shield for it. But you also get some kind of useful passives like Death Resist and Quick Escape, which makes it more likely to run from battles. And eventually Death Repel, but the real prize comes at the end of this track. Evil God gets you Debilitates. Debilitate debuffs all stats by 1 level of the entire enemy party. It is one of the best skills in the game, and getting this during the main story effectively breaks the game. You're kind of only meant to have this in the post-game, so yeah, getting through the death line quickly might make things very, very good for you if you manage to grab Debilitate. Meanwhile, Expel is interesting because it starts out with the Hummer line of spells, but also debuffs. And as you know, if any familiarity with Shin Megami Tensei, buffs and debuffs are extremely good. So if you keep going down the Expel line, you'll eventually get more and more debuffs. Makatora lets you transfer your MP to another party member, occasionally useful. And this one also leads to Debilitate. Or you can go down the bottom line of this and go for buffs as well as some more ailment skills. So we've got Tarukaja. Now it's important to note that in this game, they've actually split the buffs for physical and magic. Makakaja is for magic and Tarukaja is for physical. But Rakunda debuffs defense of both. This one also ends in Dekaja and Dekunda. Yeah, it takes a while to get these, but they are worth it. Xanadu is a little weird in that it's an Expel skill that instead of working like a normal Expel attack, it actually just does straight damage. And after that, we get ultimate heal magic skills. Salvation, which fully heals the party and cures ailments, Mana Surge for more MP, and Vanity to inflict random ailments on the entire enemy party. Those are the mantras that I really wanted to cover here for the most part. So, the main thing to know is that the buffs and debuffs are, they all branch off from the Expel part of the grid, and you may want to put someone into that part quickly. And of course, the elements all lead to their resist passives and eventually Mind Charge. Get Power Charge by heading down this track of the physical grid. I would also recommend getting everybody some basic hunt skills though, especially Devil Feast. Devil Feast is extremely useful for fighting a specific type of enemy that gives you a lot of experience and AP. Essentially this game's Metal Slime. And now that we're back from that explanation, let's head out back to base to regroup and determine our next course of action. But first I want to stop by Ground Zero because there's some interesting dialogue there, as well as one other thing. Yes, something happened. You could say something happened. Well, it turns out that the whole thing freaked out pretty badly when Sarah was mentioned and we asked about her. And yes, now the other tribes know about the black-haired woman. This means our job just got a whole lot harder, because now her being here paints a gigantic target on our back. Yeah, Jill is as conflicted as usual. What about you, Heat? I mean, I hate to be that guy, but I feel like he kinda has a point. We're already at war anyway. I mean, it's not like we wouldn't be killing people in this situation. Okay, here we go. Here's the tutorial of solar noise. Yeah, nobody ever has seen the sun, and yet there's also solar noise in this world. What's up with that? Well, I mean, they kind of did issue us summons, we're just there. Maybe. I mean, angels in SMT are rarely good news. That blue-haired guy seemed to have a lot of animosity towards her, though. Blue-haired guy also had his eye awakening right on seeing Surf. Surely that can't imply anything at all. Yeah, people are now acknowledging weaknesses in universe, which is cool. And yep, we've already been there, done that. Cells are items that you can, well, sell for marker. The more cells you sell, the more items that vendors will have available. The vendor stock also does increase as you go further into the game. I wonder if what that guy is saying is a hint at certain enemies, because there are certain types of enemies like slimes that tend to give you a stomachache more often than others.
If we want to know about Sarah, bring her to Nirvana. Is that all she had to say?
Angel. I do not know this name.
You truly remember nothing?
I'm very sorry. Atma. Child of purgatory? Now what do we do?
Well, you say that this doesn't matter. There will be other dialogue choices that do, and I'll mention those when they come up.
Nothing's changed. We'll crush the other tribes and reach Nirvana. By using this new power.
I have no objections. Our goal remains the same.
I am in Sarah's debt.
I just want to be normal. I'll do anything to find a cure for this curse.
It is decided. Allow me to propose a plan. As we are aware, there is only one way to reach Nirvana. That is to defeat the 5 other ruling tribes and present ourselves to the temple. The largest tribe, the Brutes, is presently struggling against the Wolves. It is unclear whether the Solids or Maribel pose the next greatest threat. As for us, though we defeated the vanguards, we are severely lacking in manpower.
Who cares? We'll devour them one by one.
Easier said than done. What's your plan?
If we feign an alliance with one of the weaker tribes and defeat their rival, we can then crush them afterward.
You mean, we're going to side with our enemy?
Until now, the tribes have relied solely on their own strength and resources. But an inflexible mind limits one's strategic options.
So our enemy's enemy is our friend? You've certainly changed.
You are the ones who have changed. Your emotions have clearly become unstable. I do not comprehend.
What about Sarah, then? I'm sure everyone's hot on her trail by now.
Cielo and I shall remain here. No one knows of her whereabouts. Hereafter, we should institute a policy of silence regarding Sarah's existence.
What is our leader's decision?
And this one right here does actually matter. Though, every dialogue choice that matters, the correct answer is always the top one, for some reason. If you select "We will help them without betrayal," you will get something if you transfer your file to the sequel.
You're too naive. Kill them before they kill us.
First, we head to the Maribel's territory. Their boss is skilled, but the individual members are weak. It is advantageous for them to accept us, and defeating them will not pose a problem.
And so it is time for Operation The Enemy of Our Enemy. So, this is your indicator that Argilla has now chosen to devour enemies in battle, so she will be getting AP from now on. It's just the kind of thing that's necessary to survive when you're in this state. Meanwhile, Cielo just wants to help Sarah out of a sense of debt. Gale is our tactician. Seems to be remembering something about Angel. And Heat is just a massive jerk who, kind of hates everyone, yeah. And Surf, we don't really know much about him. He's kind of a blank slate, silent protagonist. At least for now. So what this guy is saying is, it's meant to hint at a certain metal slime type enemy. However, it's actually not really all that useful right now. I'll talk more about that if that particular demon shows up. They can show up anywhere random encounters are. Okay, yeah, we can buy Charge Shot now, but we already picked up one of those. I don't think I need any more ammo at the moment. Disache, though, I like to keep a very good stock of Disaches at all times, even though this is going to run me a lot of marker. It's always a good idea to have Disaches on hand, because if you get a stomach ache, you will be locked out of gaining AP until you cure it, and that really sucks. Dis-Stun is not that useful. Dis-Curse can be kind of okay. But we also have access to these items that deal damage of a certain element. I'm going to take a couple of Thunder Rods, because there are going to be some things that are weak to electricity coming up. Landmines may also be useful because the next major boss is weak to Earth. But I have Argilla for that right now. Might not be a terrible idea. Actually, no, I'm having Argilla work on getting Force, so maybe not. If you need more money, you can always sell some Soma drops. I am going to be waiting a little bit to sell those just in case I need some expensive mantras later. Mantras end up running through your marker pretty heavily. You'll be spending most of your marker on new mantras. Do you know what fear is, sir? Yeah, there's your hint that Devour skills are more effective against enemies with fear status. Fear is not really considered like an ailment, it's more of a state that an enemy can be in, so it's not cured by things, but your party can never be infected. Well, I guess you'd say that you're infected with fear, but yeah. Your party can never be affected by fear. Also, don't worry, enemies cannot use Devour skills on you. You do not need to worry about that at all. When I said earlier, that most of the mechanics that apply to you also apply to the enemy, very, to the massive relief of everyone, that is not true of Devour skills. Oh, by the way, this dialogue is actually kind of important. This person sees things in his mind that he knows he's never seen, huh? I mean, normally that would be called dreaming, right? Some enemies are weak to guns, just like Persona 5, and well, it started in Shin Megami Tensei first, guns are an element. The main problem with guns is that you can only use them while in human form. There are no skills that deal gun damage. And that's the problem with this metal slime type of enemy, because really the only reliable way to damage it is with guns, and early game ammo is just not good enough to kill it. You really can't practically kill these enemies until the very end of the game. By which point, the amount of AP and experience they're worth is not even really that significant, which is kind of a shame. Harley left something important in his room before he fell, and for that reason, I'm making a stop over at Svadhisthana before we head to the Maribel base. Rookies are encroaching on our territory. Rookies and newcomers. We were once rookies as well. Rookies form into groups, then become a tribe. They are then bound to the law and nirvana. So what this really is just a justification for why this place still has random encounters. So we'll still be fighting the same enemies that we fought before, the same demons. It's just that they're just loose, unaffiliated demons that aren't part of any tribe yet. Well, you say that, Argilla, but I'm actually here for you to max out your current mantra so that I have access to Earth skills. Oh, Heat. Yep. Heat would be very much at home in one of those edgy vampire fics. Unfortunately, we can't warp to small karma terminals like I've mentioned before, so we're going to have to head back to Harley's room the hard way. But while we do that, I can, again, max out Argilla's... Like I said before, I can max out Argilla's current mantra and fill out that corner of the map, because I'm pedantic. Now, if you have just a tiny bit left to go before mastering a mantra, like Argilla is right now, I would recommend getting a random encounter just before a karma terminal. That way, once you've maxed out the mantra, you can immediately switch to a new one. The less battles you fight with maxed out mantra, the better, because, you know, every battle you're fighting with a maxed out mantra equipped is a waste of AP. Okay, that should be max on Earth Spirit. There we go. That took 3 battles. So now she has Terra and Void Earth. Both of which I'm going to go ahead and set now. Or, you know, I'll set Terra and... So, the Void Shields, really, you only need them if you are absolutely certain you'll be fighting something with that element, and there aren't a lot of things coming up that really use Earth in terms of, like, bosses. I prefer to save these shield skills for boss fights, and Analyze is pretty useless, but I'm gonna keep that until I get a certain thing later. But now, I can go to Get Mantra, go to Argilla, and have her select the one that I bought for her earlier, which would be, which one was it? Oh yes, Force, because it says their price dashed, because I've already bought it, so now she can take Dragon. Mabufu, a new combo was discovered. Micronova, a new combo was discovered. Micronova, I believe, requires 3 skills of any element. It looks really cool, but it's kind of impractical. I guess I can show it off now, though. It takes up 1 press turn for every character, and because it's almighty, it won't ever gain any more press turns. So, in my opinion, it's more awesome than impractical. Every element, when combined with another element from a different party member, will turn into a Mart version as a combo skill. Fire combines with Wind, Ice combines with Earth, Zeo combines with Ice, Wind combines with Zeo, and Earth combines with Fire to make the Mart versions as combos. Getting a wide spread of elements early can be useful for that, because having access to these mass skills as combos is gonna kinda help in the next dungeon. Muladhara, a new combo was discovered. This is Earth plus Fire. You might also notice that Heat's Battle Demon is taking a lot longer to master than the others, and that is for good reason. It's a way more powerful mantra. Okay, the switches are in the same configuration that I left them. So because of that, you will want to have Heat devour things, and right now he doesn't even have the basic devour skill, so in fact I may not have thought things through. It's probably a good idea to grab the basic devour skill to make getting the better devour skills faster. That is the thing when going for stronger mantras early, it means that it takes longer to get them. And here we go, with this Muladhara combo, we can hit the weakness of all 3 predators at once. Surf levels up. Again, I'm going to do this just to kind of intentionally hold back. 20 magic is way higher than you're meant to have at this point. Let's just say that, like, Argilla has 50 magic by around endgame, and Surf will have 99 long before that. And may be able to show the... Nope, that was not quite a devour. Okay, with this, I'll be able to show the effects of devouring on gaining AP. Yeah, look how much Surf's protection went up just from devouring one enemy. A particularly big enemy, but still, just one enemy. That's why you probably want to work on getting basic Devour skills on everyone as soon as possible. In fact, I may actually just switch tracks with Heat. I don't actually need Taunt until the next boss fight. And how much marker do I have right now? I probably have enough. Yes, this is a little silly, but I'm going to go ahead and make sure that Heat has that Devour. I don't really need it on Argilla just yet. I will want to take this, though. It doesn't take that long to master. And afterwards, I'll then go back to working on Devil Feast / Taunt. But here we are at Harley's former room. And in here, we get... Yep, we literally call dibs on the dead guy's stuff and get the blue key. The blue key is what opens those blue force fields we've been seeing. Also, nice statue there of Vishnu's 3D model from SMT. There are a few blue walls we can already open. One of them is in this very dungeon. It's one floor up near the start, so let's walk back to the large Karma Temple and see what's behind that wall. Yeah, I believe it's down south from the first intersection and up these stairs. Hi, chicken. Bye, chicken. And I love the animation for breaking these walls. Destroy it? Yes, destroy it all. It's that honeycomb animation. There's just something about sci-fi honeycomb force fields that's just inherently cool. And now the wall is marked on our map as destroyed. So this leads us to that taunting chest that we saw way earlier we couldn't get to before. And they contain... Power Noise and... Vital Noise. These are stat boosters. Vitality +2 and Strength +2. They are full heals of HP and MP, so some people might want to save them until you're running low on health, but I personally find I'm usually not too strapped for healing in this game. I'm going to go ahead and use them immediately. Let's give the +2 Strength to Heat, and the Vitality is going to go on Argilla. As annoying as random encounters can be, I would recommend fighting every random encounter that you can, just because you will need all the AP possible. In a way, levels actually matter a lot less than AP does. It's really all about your skill set. That's everything we can do at the Vanguard base, but if you recall, there was in fact a blue wall back at our home base of Muladhara, so let's head back there. It's through here, just in the room of the elevator. Well, don't worry, that wall's gonna be gone soon enough. Honeycomb power activates! And it appears to have sealed us off from an elevator. Also, we have a reprieve from random encounters. The base areas are some of the few places that don't have them. Guess every demon in this facility is loyal to us. But this drops us down in an underground area, where we have a whole bunch of rare chests that we're not going to have access to for quite some time. Don't worry about those. That's essentially a post-game thing. Yeah, they love taunting you with that kind of thing. There is another blue wall there, but let's check this out first. Yeah, there's an entire massive underground area of our base that we could never really get to. That door's locked from the other side. Whoever put that blue wall there was clearly petty. And it seems like it was maybe Angel who did that. Was just clearly wanting to lock us out of our own storeroom. Yeah, storeroom is right, because there are some items in here. 2 MP noises. Very, very good items to have. It is a running theme, though, that you'll mostly get noises out of opening walls. 2 HP noises. And back to break this blue wall, it's a little bit redundant to put a blue wall inside of another blue wall area, because, like, you wouldn't come here without the blue key anyway, so what's the point of there being a blue wall? But, oh well. Maybe at one point in development this was actually a different colored wall, and they decided, nah, that'd be too cruel, let's make it also a blue wall. I don't know. I'm not privy to the minds of the Atlas developers in the 2000s. I do miss 2000s era PlayStation 2 RPGs at times. But yeah, speaking of taunting chess, we can now finally get this one. And what was in that? Great Chakra ×1. Great Chakra restores all MP to the entire party. Very useful if you find yourself running low in a pinch and you aren't close to a heal point. And now we have some more of those noises to use, so let's, I'm going to give the HP noises to Surf, because he's going to be a little wimpy in the Vitality department for a bit, and the MP noise, actually, if Heat's going to be using Taunt a lot, I'm going to need to give some MP to Heat. So that should actually be about cover it for this part, because once we head to the Maribel's territory, we're going to get involved in the next major leg of the story in the next major dungeon. And I'd like to cover that in its own part, because here we did quite a bit, we've seen some more story, and we have gone over the mantra grid as well as the blue key. And what we can do with it, at least right now, there will be more we can do with the blue key later, and it's recommended you get the blue key before the Maribel base, because, you know, there's going to be blue walls there, I kind of indirectly spoiled that. So, next time, we see just where this alliance with the Maribel leads us.